Well, my friend, you have made it to the end of the preliminary lessons. Today, for this video, we're just going to discuss and talk about everything that we have learned through the preliminary lessons. And after today, if you feel like you know all of this well and that you've discussed it well with me, then you can go on to first step after today. So first step, we are going to talk about the intervals that we have talked about. First thing right now, I want you to find on your piano the interval of a second, the interval of a third, and the interval of a fourth. And I want you to play all the possible fingerings that you can play for those intervals. Right now in front of you, you will see a staff. And right now I am going to draw 10 notes, and I want you to name the names of those notes or those sounds. I'm going to start near the top of the staff. We'll work our way down to the bottom of the staff, and this will include sounds on lines and on spaces. So let's start here at the top. Like I said, we're going to do 10 of these. So what is this note on the top line of the staff? This is high F. What about this note? This is C. How about this one? This last note you can see is on our G clef line, and when it sits on our G clef line, we know that it is G. So what about this next note? This note is just one step below G, so it is F. How about this one? This is middle C. And this next one? This note falls just one step below middle C, so we know that that is B. How about this note? So this note falls on our F clef line. You can see the large dot of the F clef goes right on this line. So that's a good clue that this is the sound called F. How about this next note? Yet again, this is one step below F, so this is E. And the next note? This is B. And lastly, we have this note, and that is F. Go ahead and draw an 11-line staff on a piece of paper or whiteboard or chalkboard in front of you. And while you're doing that, I am going to play 10 sounds on the piano. And as I play them, I want you to draw them on your staff. And then as we go, I'll show you what they look like on the screen. So with your 11-lined staff in front of you, here is your first sound. So go ahead and draw that on your staff. This is middle C, and it looks like this. Okay, here's another sound. This is the G that falls on the treble clef line, or the G clef line. Here's another sound. This is our F that falls on our bass clef or our F clef line. Here's another sound way up here. This is high F, so this is the topmost line of our staff. Looks like this. And here's another sound. This is low G, looks like this. It is the bottom line of our staff. Here's another sound. This is C, and it looks like this. Here's another sound. This is A, and it looks like this. Here's another sound. This is another C, and it looks like this. Here's another sound. This is E, and it looks like this. And here is the last one. This last sound is G, and it looks like this. We've talked a lot about clefs these last couple lessons, and right now I want you to take a minute. I want you to go draw a G clef and an F clef on an 11-line staff. I want you to draw it as best as you can and as clear and as neat as you can draw it. Now that you've drawn your F clef and your G clef, let's talk a little bit about why we have clefs. Why do we have an F clef and why do we have a G clef? And where does your right hand play? Where does your left hand play? Why don't you discuss with your teacher or your mom or somebody sitting near you why we have clefs and what they do for us? A few things that maybe you talked about these clefs is we have a G clef because it sits on our G line, and that clef we also call a treble clef, and our right hand plays the treble clef. We have an F clef that sits on the F line. We also call that our bass clef, and our left hand plays that clef. We have some clefs that tell us which lines are which because, like we learned very early on in preliminary lessons, we have to know at least the name of one of the lines in order to figure out the names or the sounds on the rest of the lines. So we have our G clef that indicates our G line, and that helps us figure out the rest of the lines, the sounds on the lines and the spaces for our right hand. And we have an F clef that tells us the F line, and that helps us figure out the sounds on the lines and the spaces for our left hand. We also know that we have a treble clef or a G clef, and a bass clef or an F clef because those two clefs were developed long ago because they fit the range of commonly the different voices that we hear. Whether it's a lady's voice, she sings about the range of the treble clef, and a man's voice sings about the range of a bass clef. So that's why long ago they developed those clefs. And now as we play piano using those clefs, it's both of our hands take one of those voices. So our right hand takes the treble clef and our left hand takes the bass clef. So now I'm going to play an interval of a second, a third, or a fourth, and I want you to close your eyes and try to identify which interval I'm playing without you looking. So close your eyes. How about this one? Is that a second, a third, or a fourth? That's a second. So close your eyes again. Let's do another one. That one is a third. So close your eyes again. That is a second. And let's do one more. What is this one? And that's the interval of a fourth. Let's do a little bit of ear training. So we know that on this staff there are 4 different G's, ranging from our low G to the G that sits right above our staff. So I'm going to play one of those G's. I want you to tell me, am I playing the low G or the G that sits right above the very top of our G clef staff? So close your eyes. Which G am I playing? So this is our low G. The G that sits really high above the staff, right above the staff, is this. Let's do an E. So there's a couple E's on the staff. There's one right in the middle of our bass clef, which falls right below the F clef line, and then there's a high E. So why don't you close your eyes, and am I playing the E on the bass clef or the E, the high E, near the top of the treble clef? So which one am I playing? So this is a high E. Way down here would be our E on our bass clef line. Let's do that one more time with C's. So we have a couple C's. We have middle C, we have high C, and then we have another C that falls lower on our bass clef. So close your eyes. Which C am I playing? This is middle C. This is the one right here in the middle of the piano. Why don't you close your eyes again? So am I going to play high C or low C? So close your eyes. What about this one? You can open your eyes, and this is the low C down on our bass clef. Go ahead and draw on a piece of paper or a whiteboard or chalkboard in front of you. I'd like you to go ahead and draw a 1 pulse, 2 pulse, 3 pulse, and 4 pulse note. So now I'd like you to draw 2 pulse measures, and I want each of those measures to have a different combination of notes. I'd also like you to draw 4 measures, each with 3 pulses in each measure, and come up with as many different combinations of notes as you can in each of those measures. And now I'd like you to draw 4 pulse measures, and just like the last 2, I want you to come up with as many different combinations of notes as you can in each of those 4 measures. I'd like you to do the same thing, to draw 8 measures and put 4 pulses in each measure. Again, remember what we've talked about, what makes the measures sound musical, what we've talked about rhythm and pulses in each measure as you create these 8 measures, each with 4 pulses in each measure. So we're going to do a time dictation, and we've done many of these in the past. I am going to play a 4-measure melody, each with 4 pulses in each measure, and I want you to listen and write out the rhythm that I am playing. So there are 4 measures, 4 pulses in each measure. I'll play it one time through here with the metronome. Here we go. So write out what you can, and I'm going to play it again. Here I'll play it without the metronome. And I'll do it one more time with the metronome, and then we'll be done. So take a minute and write that out. And here is what that time dictation looks like. So while you're looking at it, let me play it one more time so you can watch it and listen at the same time. So right now I'm going to play you a piece of music, and I want you to listen and determine if you think I'm playing 2 pulse, 3 pulse, or 4 pulse measures in this piece of music. What do you think? 2, 3, or 4 pulse? So this one is in 3 pulse, and if I just play the melody, if you had some trouble, just go ahead and listen. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You hear the 3 pulse in each measure. Okay, what about this one? 2, 3, or 4 pulses? What do you think? you think? 2, 3, or 4? So this is in 2 pulse measures. And one of the things that kind of gives it away is whenever you hear a bass clef being so repeated, you hear that? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so listen here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Do you hear the 1, 2, 1, 2? So this one's in 2 pulse. Let's do one more. So here's a hymn you may know, so listen along and see if you think it's in 2, 3, or 4 pulse. Pulses in each measure. So this one has 4 pulses in each measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that song is in 4 pulses per measure. Okay, you guys, this is the end of preliminary lessons. So first of all, congratulations. Nice work getting through the preliminary lessons. I know it took time, I know it took effort, I know it took hard work, and I think and I hope that you find a lot of reward and satisfaction looking at what you've accomplished, yet also what you know is ahead because of the hard work that you've already put into learning about the piano and to learning music. So I also hope that eventually you can use this knowledge to not only enjoy playing the piano, but also to bless those around you. So I encourage you to keep going, even if it's hard sometimes, keep working and you'll keep learning. And one day I think you'll really enjoy, maybe you already do, but I think you'll really enjoy sitting down at the piano one day and playing the music that you love to play most.